have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout Coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and a hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hello, and welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. You can watch the show live now on the first Sunday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter to watch the broadcast live and join the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show later on your favorite podcast player.
In this episode, we're going to chat about fully themed challenge caches. We also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com, and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges. So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize, a 1-year membership to Project GC.
And later on, we'll also highlight some of the challenge caches you found, and someone will win our monthly giveaway.
And we are your hosts, Emily and Geoff from Cache the Line. And we've also got Jesse joining us again. So,
welcome,
hello,
Jesse.
and how's your month been?
Just happy I was invited back again.
Of course.
Show up, so that's pretty good. I haven't done anything really stupid yet, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, I went out geocaching today because I'm still working on filling in my calendar. Aiming for, I couldn't decide before, am I going to try to get 2 caches per date or 3? I'm going to aim for 3. So I went out today to get 2. I kind of mapped out my whole year. I think I can make it happen if I gamble on some caches getting published throughout the year, close by enough. So I'm going to aim for 3.
So that's a 3 per day average, right?
3 per day, 3 finds per calendar date. I've had my calendar filled in for years, but there's still some dates where there's only 1 or 2 caches. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still working on that with the challenge cache year date grid of date.
Yeah,
found.
that's amazing. That's far beyond where I think
5
I can go
more.
next.
Five
That's
more dates.
lot of
so
challenges.
cool. That is so cool.
After this show, I've got to go get one. And then
Wait a
4
minute.
more
What
days.
time is our show over and you have to get it done by midnight?
10 o'clock, we're done here.
Okay, good luck.
So, well, 10 o'clock supposed to be. But there will be about an hour and a half or so.
I'm sure you're not just going from scratch. You already have it mapped out for those 5 days that you need, right?
Yeah, I have on Cachely a filter set up to show me all of my unfound and qualified challenge caches within the area. And there's this big, huge hole about an hour bubble around my home.
No.
So it's a drive out to get to the nearest one, but get a few more caches today. And it also helps to keep up that 170 finds per month rate I'm trying to keep up in order to find 2,022 caches in 2022.
Oh, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, lots of challenges. Oh, and indoor events were just allowed again in Ontario. Finally.
Great.
So I hosted a breakfast on Saturday. We used to do that every month, first Saturday of every month, 2 years ago. So now it's been 2 years since we had an indoor event.
It is so good getting back to events and seeing your people. Last month with 222 and some palindrome dates, I got to see several friends where it's just been way too long. It's so good for the soul.
Yeah.
Then you have that shock when you finally see the bottom half of their face again. You almost
Right.
recognize them at first.
At least indoors. Yeah, because like we've been able to have, well, to varying degrees, because outdoor events, all depending on restrictions, there could be outdoor gathering sizes. So the reviewers have adjusted their publishing guidelines for events over the course of 2 years. But indoor events haven't been allowed pretty much since the lockdowns began.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
You should throw one every day for a month. There's got to be a challenge for that out there.
Yeah, get rid of the event stacking guideline as well, just to celebrate.
Just let us gather.
Only stacking if it's the same day. You can have them every day for a month, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep them. Yeah, it's potentially possible if your reviewer doesn't catch on. But yeah, so
One way to find out. Try it and see.
Yeah, exactly. If you have any comments or challenge goals or anything that is challenge related or just geocaching related that you'd like to share with us, then by all means, as usual, email your challenge caching questions, big or small, to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. Every month, we like to also highlight some of the challenge statistics via Project GC. And as of March 6th, this afternoon, did a quick check on their little summary of their challenge checker scripts. And so we now have 7,532 active scripts, which is up 115 from last month. These are all of the unique individual scripts that are used to write all of the checkers that we have out there. So it seems like fewer scripts, but one of those scripts could feed hundreds of challenges potentially. We also have 39,817 unique challenges. Those are different parameter sets, which is up 399 from last month. Those are mentioned every month that you could have two challenges that are identical and use the same script. So those are unique challenges, not individual listings, because individual active tags, that is unique checkers by GC code, there's 49,036, which is up 520 from last month. And each of those is a little less than the prior month, so it kind of got a little dip this month. But we're at 33,068 active challenge caches worldwide. So these are active listings according to the attribute search on geocaching.com. And that's up 306 from last month, which is more than double last month's increase. So we got a whole bunch of new caches published this past
Bring them
month.
on. Great.
That's right. Good.
Yeah.
Everybody, there's some reason everybody's publishing caches all of a sudden. I have no idea why it is.
Yeah.
I wish that would happen more in Ontario. For the last couple of months, it's been slow.
Oh,
We've
no.
had very, very, I think I can count them on my hand how many were published in Ontario.
Wow.
Feeling some withdrawal. I want to see new ones. So we've got some new news items from last month as well. So a little nudge, if you haven't yet, the Reach the Peak Souvenir Challenge finishes on March 7th, which is tomorrow. So if you haven't climbed all of the mountains yet, or the last mountain, if you haven't climbed Everest yet, make sure you do that before tomorrow.
Wow, I didn't realize we were at the end. This is really the end.
Yeah.
It's been a great challenge. I've enjoyed keeping up with this one.
It was a nicely themed one, yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked the theme. I liked that it varied every month within the theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I
the
liked
fact
that
that
it just kept me going with just another goal, as
Yeah.
always.
And they provided that base camp, that very lowest level souvenir for everybody. Just find one, log one.
Yep.
And then the peak for each of them. And the fact that the peaks all increased. I've commented about that in some past souvenir challenges. Like, if you provide increasingly difficult souvenir requirements, and then it can at least encourage people to try more, do more, push more, that sort of thing. So that was nice.
And usually I am all in with whatever Challenge HQ puts out, and I'm probably going to achieve every bit of it, but I do like that there's that meta souvenir for achieving it all as well.
Yeah, especially that. We also have Snag the Tag is starting up again, the next game in April. So make sure you follow them for the news and notifications. Hider packs have been on sale already for, I think, at least a month, over a month, maybe around a month, beginning of early mid-February, I think. So people are snatching them up, but once it starts, make sure those notifications on if you like the FTFs.
Right. Even if you don't buy a hider pack, you can still sign up for notifications. You never know. I feel like most of the ones that get hidden around me are people just driving through and randomly selecting to hide one near me, which is amazing. I benefit from that, So yeah, sign up for each individual game notifications.
We have a very active Snag the Tag community. Sadly, it's 2 hours south of me.
Oh,
But I still get the notification just because I want to know, and they're gone immediately.
Yeah.
They're big time into it, and they hide them all the time down there. I see them all the time. One day it'll happen while I'm in that town, and I'm going to get it no matter what. But there's no way I could drive down there and get it in time. They're gone
it's just it's not going to be worth
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. You got to try to convince somebody down there to spark it in another community. Get them to drive up to you and hide some.
It hadn't really caught on up here, but some people do. But I guess they just took to it down there for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like if nobody hides them, then nobody really starts, right? So it doesn't really catch on until somebody decides, okay, I'm gonna hide.
Yeah, I've been kind of dangling the carrot every now and then in my community, and it seems like I'm waiting for the out-of-towners to come through and snag my hides.
Well, this past month, I also discovered a new type of checker, which can't be a challenge, apparently, because of its requirement. But I thought it was a very neat variation on chaining. So chaining is a calculation based on proximity from your finds. So there's a certain challenge that is allowed, which you've got to have a certain length of chain from find to find, from the beginning to end, and then you qualify. This one was created, but apparently, reportedly, it's not being allowed. It's using cache chains to define an area. So you're enclosing.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That is
enclosing a
so
region by a chain.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so you've got to have a certain area in order to qualify. So that was a really neat variation, but you can't publish a challenge with it. So it gives you a few largish regions that are somewhat close, and then if you're able to, you could say extend a few more finds for one of those areas, and then connect it into that other region, which would greatly increase the area as one big loop. So it's really fascinating the stuff that they're able to do with these scripts. And I kind of want to petition to make reviewers allow this challenge type. It's not a user-defined region, right? It's like you're still finding stuff. You can't unqualify. Your finds are there.
That's really neat looking.
And the script allows different proximities as well. So this one is, I think it was 3 kilometers. Yeah, separation was 3 kilometers. But there is a 5 kilometer one as well, which changes the shape to something almost completely different.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot larger. So yeah, it's flexible as well. And yeah, I would just love to see this allowable as a challenge. For one, because I can just
cool.
find a
I
few
want to
caches
play with
here.
that.
So
yeah, so we'll have the links.
Be...
Yeah, the links to those checkers in our show notes, so you audio listeners can play around with what we're oohing and ahhing over.
That's going to lead to people trying to draw pictures, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, you couldn't be able to require it, but you can't stop people from making pictures.
Doing it, right?
I mean, GeoArt can be all kinds of stuff. In case you're wondering, reviewers will stop you if you go the wrong direction with that.
Yes.
Just saying that for a friend.
Yeah.
So on that note, we had a not quite a GeoArt, but roadside series of traditionals in a region close to me, and the roads, the shape of them kind of looked like a vulgar hand sign.
Oh.
And from what I heard, one person commented about that to a reviewer, and the owners of that series had to make changes so that it didn't look like that.
Wow.
And these were traditionals along roadsides.
Wow.
I mean, you can't blame HQ for that, though.
Yeah.
They can't have vulgar stuff tied to them
Right.
in a kid's game.
Yeah, for sure. We also have a little shout out to make to one of our listeners. It is just finding our way. Big congratulations, because he has crossed a milestone of 1,000 challenge caches found.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Congratulations. And on his birthday, too. And thanks for repping the pod with your Challenge Talk shirt while you made the find.
It's a nice looking shirt there.
Yeah, so
That's
congratulations.
a huge accomplishment. 1,000 challenge caches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is.
And
So
just for the record, the cache that he found there was GC2YQHK favorites challenge, where you've got to find 5 geocaches with 100 favorite points or more.
cool.
So
Very
not too
good.
difficult, but it's a good theme for a challenge.
Yeah.
Depending on
And he's
where
in
you
the
live,
chat
it could be
tonight.
difficult.
So
Yeah.
hey there and congratulations.
So
Pretty impressive feat, though. That's pretty
yeah.
good.
that takes time. That takes time.
Yeah.
And interestingly, like thinking about that date found year grid for challenge caches, you have to have obviously a minimum of 366 challenges qualified in order to even complete that year.
Mhm.
And looking at caches in my region to see if there could even be a challenge published for that requirement, at the top end, like the first page of top finders in Ontario, I think I had 2 or 3 people qualified, and their grid, you could tell that they worked on it. A whole lot of days with just 1 challenge found. And then there were a couple others who you could tell were trying to qualify, because there was like spotted, half the year was spotted, and then it was solid. So, from some date, they decided to fill in all the dates. And that was about it. It's not an easy one to qualify for,
No.
because you have to qualify for challenges, and you have to focus on signing them or qualifying for them on those missing dates.
Right.
So if I go on January 1st and sign a power trail of 370 of them, I can just slowly see if I qualify. Would that be okay?
Oh, that's a whole other topic.
Oh.
When
thought
to
I'd ask,
sign
you know.
challenge caches.
I'm asking
See-
for that same friend that did the dirty geo art. That's what I'm doing.
I would insert in there that, for me personally, if I have forgotten or don't know that I qualify for a challenge, or don't know when I qualify for a challenge, then I would log it for when I did the work to discover that I qualified.
Yeah.
But if I know that I qualified on a certain date and I've already signed it before that, I'll log it qualified for that date.
Yeah, it's the honor system.
As long as it's not like 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, you're
Everybody's
gonna
got
know.
different
It's
ethics
gonna
about that.
feel. Yeah, you're gonna know. It's gonna feel like, make it feel worth it to you.
Mhm.
If you're into cheating, then I guess you'll feel great about cheating. I don't know. What's the definition of cheating? Anyways.
Oh boy. Oh, that is another topic. Controversial topic.
Yes.
But on that note, the topic for this month, we are talking about fully themed challenge caches. It was interesting trying to come up with a name for it, because what do you call a challenge cache where the final challenge, the cache itself, follows the same theme as the qualification for it?
Yeah. So fully themed.
Fully themed.
Yeah.
I'll buy it. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. We posted around asking. Well, I had initially asked people to share caches that they think or that they feel are relevant to the qualification. And interestingly, there were some comments coming back that they actually like challenges that aren't like that, where you just have the qualification, but the cache itself is just, the final reward for qualifying. So that it added another perspective to the whole idea of fully themed challenge caches. So if you're in chat then share some comments. Share
Yeah,
some
we want to
opinions
see
about
what
you think
everyone
about
feels
that.
like. Yeah, especially if you didn't give us any feedback online in the past few days.
Like the easiest example that I would tend to give for a fully themed challenge cache is like a challenge where you've got to find 100 tree climb attribute caches, and the final cache is also up a tree. So you've still got to climb another cache, another tree to find the cache.
Right.
And
Right.
that one seems simple enough. But then some of these, I mean, it depends on the challenge as well. Some challenges are just crazy complex, and you can't really make a cache based on that. But I mean, you can
Yeah.
theme it.
Right. And, I was looking through my list of challenge cache finds, and some of them I couldn't come up with a way that I would like fully theme out that final. Like I, some of them are, some of them are in a trail of challenge caches. So I feel like that is its own destination. You go there because you're like, yeah, I can get all of these. And then there might be a few that I still have to work towards or something like that. And so that's kind of like the reward in and of itself. And so if you're doing that and you're like giving people a trail of terrain accomplishments, it's going to be hard to theme out a 4 beside a 3 beside a 2, every 500 feet.
But the theme doesn't necessarily have to be the terrain of that. You could do something to the container, right?
True.
Yeah. You could decorate the container.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I think
I had that
if
thought.
Yeah, like if you do a qualification of 100 tree climbs and you don't want to climb the tree for the final cache, you could make the cache a tree.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Something that I think one of the things that one of the opinions that was regularly mentioned was you don't necessarily just want to find a lamppost cache as the challenge cache final.
Yeah, and I don't like to say like that I don't feel like I'm prejudiced towards a lamppost cache. I don't feel like I'm prejudiced towards a micro. Everything has its place. But I have walked up to a lamppost micro as a challenge cache and gave a groan, because it's just like, wow, this is the way it's going to end, So something in me was saying I want more in that.
Well, and people have very strong opinions on this as well.
Oh,
I'll,
yeah. And Just Finding Our Way said you could use a calendar for a
Oh,
logbook in
yeah.
365 challenge.
That's great. Time to think outside of the box.
See, that's perfect. You would get a chuckle if you walked up and that's the final of that. You would get a chuckle for that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would feel like a good reward too. Like it's related to the qualification, and yeah, you get that extra little tidbit of joy.
I will tell you, and I think I mentioned it somewhere before on the network, but I hit some challenges, and I hit them with, even if it wasn't a challenge, difficulty would have probably been about a 3+ on the hide. But the challenge part was also up there too. And I had people get mad at me, like send me not so nice notes saying challenges are supposed to be easy to find. I'm like, I didn't read that anywhere.
True, right?
People get some definite opinions, and they will tell you their opinions too over the nice messaging feature. Like, I should be able to walk up and find it. I've qualified for the challenge. I should be able to get it easy. Well, not this one. Sorry.
Yeah, Eric says he loves when the terrain matches the actual terrain. I mean, that brings up another issue about how to rate challenge caches. Do you make it based on the terrain based on the cache itself, the challenge that's the final, or based on the requirements of the qualification? I think most of us would kind of agree the maximum of either of those. But
the rules are pretty clear on it, though.
Yeah, it
HQ is giving us some pretty clear rules on what you're supposed to do, but we all know that people don't follow rules, so it's kind of, we've kind of made our own version of those rules, right?
If you don't follow the rules, then at least explain in the description the difference.
Yeah.
The challenge could be for terrain 4s, but the final cache itself is a terrain 1.5. At least explain that. Yeah, like if it's nice. I personally like when the terrain matches the challenge and the cache itself, because like that's
And when you say that, do you mean like this challenge probably had you going to a lot higher terrain, so you're going to hide a higher terrain, and
like if you have
label it appropriately?
Yeah, say like finding 5 terrain caches. You can't say on islands, but say you found a whole bunch that were on islands that were paddle caches or swim or wade or something like that. Then if the final cache was also on an island or required that,
Mm-hmm.
the terrain kind of matches the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Chronically Tired Mom said, what's one more tree climb after 100?
Exactly. The people who like tree climbs are the ones doing your challenge anyways. And I even saw also in the chat a cemetery challenge in a cemetery, final being in the
Yeah.
cemetery, dog park icon,
Mhm.
attribute challenge, have it in a dog park or dog friendly. I'm sorry. Dog friendly attribute, have it near a dog park. That's a great location type final.
Yep. Karen said, it's like when you have an adventure lab that's a little different than someone comments list that doesn't like the fact the info wasn't on the signs.
Yeah.
There's probably always someone who isn't going to like something.
Another opinion that was mentioned was they like caches that like challenge finals that are just fairly standard challenges caches, because what if you're on a road trip and you're just trying to collect challenges that you qualify for? In that sense, you might just want to go to a plaza and then be able to log those challenges, whether you qualify right now or not. At least, like if you know that you're going to qualify for a high terrain challenge, but you are traveling to another region, you might want to be able to sign that cache and then qualify for it later without having to spend a day doing whatever's required for that challenge. Cache.
Sounds like somebody's trying to hit the easy button. I'm just saying, I don't know.
I guess,
yeah.
I love it when I'm traveling through somewhere and I see a gimme, because oh, hey, I already qualify for that. I'm going to go for that because that's the type of thing that interests me on what I would target as I'm traveling somewhere. But, you just can't find them all. It's just not possible. So sometimes you walk away because today's not the day.
Yeah. And if all challenges were just like lamppost cache, there'd be no point even going to sign it. Just do the work and claim it online. You know what I mean?
See, I could go both ways on that because I would like to be able to sign challenges while I'm away, and then whether I'm qualified now or not. But at the same time, if I knew that there was a challenge that required the same difficulty as qualification, then I might make that a special target cache and come and make a specific trip for that one another time.
I like when you see, like, if it's like, find 25 boating caches, which, you can't, you could say a 5 terrain with the boat attribute if you wanted to, but, and then like at the end of a trail of 25, the challenge is out there. So you're already out there doing it. You kind of get rewarded at the end of it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that just reminded me, we had one like that recently, or a number of years ago. There was a power trail. Basically, someone had laid a whole bunch of caches along a very remote forest wilderness trail. It was about a 9-hour hike round trip if you do the whole thing. And initially, there was a really old cache at the end, so it required that whole hike. And it was a 5.5, very old, kind of popular. Not a lot of people did it. But some of these people did this the one time, and they placed all these caches along the power trail, rated them all high terrain because it's wilderness, it's an intense hike, and then put a challenge cache at the end of the trail past that 5.5. And it was about collecting stars in one day. So collecting difficulty and terrain stars in one day.
Oh, yeah.
So if you were to go out there to do that trail, you collect that entire power trail, get the oldie at the end, and then get the challenge, you're qualified. You do it all in one trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Setting up, that kind of goes to, sometimes there's the challenge and hiding a challenge cache of, it has to be reasonably doable, for a number of local cachers. And so if you're setting up the ability to achieve it along with setting forth the challenge, that's good.
I like that. What if you did a challenge like that and nobody in your area had done it before? What do you think what the reviewer would do? It's reasonably attainable, right? Because it's out there, but what if nobody had ever done that before?
I hate that rule. I hate that rule for that reason. I don't care what people have done before. I want to set forth a challenge by definition of the name, but I'll back down because
it
I have
goes back to
strong
the difference,
feelings.
between a challenge and an accomplishment, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't
But,
want them to be reward caches. I want them to be a challenge.
You said it, not me. But
I don't. In that kind of situation, I would probably, if I knew of a challenge that I wanted to create, and people hadn't done it before, I'd probably look to people who are closest to qualifying and saying, "Hey, I'm planning to do this challenge. I've done it, but maybe you should work towards it because then you'll be able to publish. You could be FTF." But yeah, for Ontario, you've got to have that 10 other people already qualify plus yourself before you can actually create the challenge cache.
which is kind of a bummer, but there's a challenge in my area that's the exact reason why they did that. It's like find 500,000 webcams or something like that. It's something that nobody had ever done, and it was like 10 years for anybody could ever qualify for it. And it was one of those old ones. It's like, come on. The owner didn't even qualify for it. None of those rules are in place at the time, so I get why they did it.
Owen from KC said, "I agree. I don't even think the CO should have to qualify because it might be something that the CO wants to strive for." That's pretty much the reasoning behind my bingo challenge, my Ironman bingo challenge, which I don't yet qualify for.
Yeah, I see the one end of where is the end of reasonableness if you're not putting forth a standard like that, but still. Yeah. Sometimes they just feel like rewards instead of challenges.
Yeah. And I think it's another situation of people pushing the line beyond reason, and so they had to pull it back, and everybody kind of has to deal with that. Because if you can publish a challenge that nobody yet qualifies for, then the sky's the limit for your ideas. How unattainable might it be? Doesn't matter. But if a few people already have to qualify, then at least it's within some realm of reasonability.
Yeah.
So another con to themed challenge caches, that the requirement to qualify can't include this cache. So what I was thinking about that is, if you think about it, you put a challenge to find 100 tree climbs, and then the final cache itself is also a tree climb. You're kind of making the challenge 101 tree climbs, right? Even though you qualify for 100, you still can't log it online until you do one more. So it's kind of adding a little bit to the challenge itself,
which is good.
Yeah.
Challenges are not for people who want the easy way out. Those are LPCs.
Right.
Challenges should challenge you. So it's always good to up that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like every challenge falls into that category because if you're not going to log it until you've done all the other things, even though your name might be on the log, it does not count. So
now, if you were to do like a challenge of find 100 two-terrain caches and then the challenge was in a tree, that would be kind of mean. Like it's way harder than the qualifications for the actual challenge cache. That might be a little mean, but
I agree. That would be mean. Sometimes I think of, people of all abilities just for that sake of terrain. And they're going to be like, what the heck? Why would you do that to me?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd call that a con necessarily, but it'd be an interesting situation to work around. I mean, you could make the challenge 99 tree climbs, and then the 100th is the final.
In fairness, the same thing would apply too, right? If your challenge it's in an LPC and it was to find 1,000 caches, you still have to find one more cache.
Yeah.
To get that. So you got to find 1,000.
And who doesn't want one more cache?
Yeah.
Not me ever. What are you talking about?
We had a challenge in our area that is love it or hate it, finding 500 1-1, difficulty 1, terrain 1 caches. And the final is an LPC, if I recall. It's a 1-1.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly hard. There's not really a lot of 1-1 caches out there, relatively speaking. Because as soon as you can't get a wheelchair to it, it's a 1.5.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much most trails. And it's like it's a little tough to try to find those just find out where the 1-1s are and then actually target them.
Much less when you're talking to find 1-1s that aren't traditionals.
Right.
So one of the flip sides to that, the cache can't be, or isn't part of the qualifications, is that the cache itself, you still have to find by its own merit, its own difficulty and terrain anyway. So, if you're finding geocaches to qualify, you'd find all the stuff that qualifies for the challenge, but then now you're just finding one other cache, which is its own difficulty, terrain, attributes, all that stuff. So,
That makes me think how it's so sad when you can't find the challenge cache. Something you've worked towards or were looking forward to. That's a special one. I can, there's something special about I can log that and others can't, and then it's just not there.
Now, the one of the pros that I find is one of the best pros is that, if the final cache is like the epitome of the challenge itself. So kind of like how with the Reach the Peak souvenirs, you earn each of the peak souvenirs of the individual mountains, and then you earn the Peak Explorer. I think it was the final. You earn all those souvenirs, you get the extra bonus, which is related to all of those. Or is it? Because that one you just, I don't. Maybe that's not the best example, but like. I guess it would depend on the challenge as well. If it's tree climbs and you love tree climbs, then it's no big deal to have an epitome. Would you put, say, that challenge cache, 100 tree climbs, and then the challenge final at the highest possible tree you can find?
Absolutely.
It's like you've qualified, now just one more.
You can always not do the challenge. You can always just move on to some other cache, but challenge cachers tend to want to be challenged, I think.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd be totally up for that. I think it's a good idea. But like I said before, it would depend on the context of wanting to find it. Because if you place a challenge like that, you're pretty much focusing on people already in the area, because somebody passing through is not going to necessarily want to do all of the work to find that final challenge, whether qualified or not. They might have to plan another trip just to come for that challenge if it's a lot of work. So it targets different people, I think, if you make a fully themed challenge cache, depending on the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of rounds out the experience, It's just adding that extra bit.
And that's what becomes really memorable. Just those extra features, like you said, we would get a chuckle to open up a logbook that was a calendar. That sticks with you. When we first started talking about this topic, this is not a challenge cache, but I found a cache 12 years ago, and it is that memorable. It's the first thing I thought of when we started talking about this topic. It's a Where I Go cache at the Antietam battlefield, and that is a long haul Where I Go. And I'm looking at the cache final, and it says micro, and so there's my internal bias going, what? After all that, you've given me a micro? And I'm not going to say more because it's still an active cache, and I don't know if it's the same as it was. But when you got there, the location was wonderful, and the final was a micro, but it was so themed out that I got such a kick out of it. And, it really turned me around from that first initial thought of, this is all you're going to give me after that,
Yeah.
So same with challenges.
And okay, here's a comment that just got me thinking for a couple of reasons. So Peter Hoyt said, I have a mine attribute challenge final, add a mine. That would be awesome. I'd be all for that. I'd go for that in a heartbeat. But that makes an interesting point, because in a way, that cache can't be a qualifier. So that's one mine that can't be used for a cache to qualify. So in this particular challenge instance, it takes up space that could be used for another cache to qualify for the challenge.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right? Yeah.
So you're going to have to go out and find a different mine. This mine's taken. Yeah.
And how many mines are there out there where you could put a cache near one?
I didn't even realize there was a mine attribute.
Oh, yeah.
Abandoned mine, I think it is.
Yeah.
But that's one way to look at it. Or it just gets you one closer to the 200 mines. the next challenge you're going for.
The next level.
'Cause we're always
And that
going for
mine
one more
cache
challenge,
one
right?
state over.
Yeah.
You know,
You've
it'll
already got
count for that
101
one.
now. You can move on to the next one.
Yeah, so I hadn't thought about that one as well. It's only more of an issue with very rare cache experiences like mines, but no, I'd still go for that challenge. That's a great challenge. Abandoned structures, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think we can all agree though that some kind of theming is nice. Whether it's the amount of work to find the cache, some people might like that, but that might separate locals versus travelers, or if it's just some kind of decoration, cache container, location, something like that that's relevant to the challenge.
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
I think everybody could agree that at least is good. Someone had mentioned something good but not lame.
Well, I mean, think about it though. So you've worked on a challenge for a year, and you go finally to sign the final, right? And you get there, and it's a pill bottle under a bush. That's not really. I mean, that's kind of anticlimactic, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least put a smiley face on it or a sticker or something. Do something, like do something for me. But because it's it should be. I think one opinion would be that challenge cache should be the crowning achievement of all that work you've done the whole time. Now, if you're just doing them as reward caches, as Emily called them, not me, it doesn't matter, right? But if you're working towards it the whole time, and you're like, I can finally go sign this challenge, you want it to be a little something special. I mean, it doesn't have to be like the best cache ever, but I would suggest the reason why people don't tend to put much effort into the final of challenges is not everybody's going to find it and sign it.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying. It's going to be amazing if you do.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Jesse. I think that, having that nice, surprising find at the end is really cool.
Yeah. It didn't have to be like a gadget. Just, paint the can or something. Do something cool for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so kind of along that line, not to toot my own horn, but I recently placed a challenge for Mingo's birthday, Mingo's coming of age challenge. It was supposed to be 21 years after its publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cache itself, that's what what Mingo GC30 looks like. And so what I had done is create, so it is a challenge to find old caches, but I created a container that looks a lot like Mingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that little extra touch gets a lot of comments about how it's nice. It was great to see a themed container. Even found a location that was very Mingo-like. So there's a big highway up there, and then you've got the fence line corner with the wood fence, and then a little pile in the corner.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that kind of theming, I think anybody could get behind. What was the challenge again? It was to find at least 21 geocaches placed on May 11th of any year.
That's cool.
And of those 21, 12 must have been placed in different years. So you need to have at least 12 different years covered by May 11th finds in order to qualify.
Could you do one found on May 11th every year since geocaching started?
Yep. It's that or more.
Yeah. I just wondered if they would let you do one for every single year.
So that wasn't allowed. It had to be a quantity. I can't remember the reason, but I had to go back and forth a bit. There were a few changes to this challenge to make it allowed because of guidelines. But we settled on a quantity of 21 caches placed on May 11th any year, covering at least 12 different years. The nice little bonus for that is if you have found Mingo, you've already got one of 12, but it's kind of a bragging right if you've also got Mingo.
Yeah. So
now, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a good comment in there. It says,
it's exactly what I was going to
talk about. Okay. He says it goes against kind of what I was saying was going against signing challenges before you qualify. Just to be clear, I advocate signing every challenge you get near. You don't wait till when you qualify, but if you signed it first and then went on and worked on it, it's still cool if it starts off with something really cool, right? So I'm definitely not saying wait until because that thing could be archived before you ever qualify.
Right.
Every challenge you come near, even if you think 100% you will never qualify for that challenge, you just never know.
Right. I still think it's gonna tickle you in that moment and like
Yeah,
give you a nice
yeah.
little memory. And the more of us that do this, the more we're gonna inspire other people, hopefully, to do this and have great ideas.
And it doesn't
That's
have
what
to
we all
be
want.
something major, right? Just a little tweak, like you said, the calendar. And it could even be one of those little mini calendars, the little bitty ones you put in there. We would all chuckle when we saw that. Just the creativity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like what Tom says. If there was a final in a pill bottle in a bush and it was full of certificates for free ice cream for the place the bush is sitting in front of, he'd be okay with that.
Hard to argue with that logic.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah. So in a way, it's like it's thinking about challenge caches like placing just your regular cache. Creativity and something neat is always welcome. Everybody loves that. So as we take challenges to the next level of geocaching, we can think creatively about how to theme the challenge cache itself around or somewhat relative to the qualifications required. I think that would just make it like so much better for everybody. Nobody would hate that.
Right. Nobody would hate that. That's exactly it.
That's a good general life thing. Nobody would hate
That's a
that.
standard, right? Is that your standard for caching now? Nobody would hate it.
Nobody's going to hate this one.
Emily, did you have another couple other points?
No, I made all my points early on. Basically the same thing. I'm going to find whatever challenge is out there, but I'm going to love it when it has some kind of relation to the theme. And you guys have made really good points that I didn't even think of right away, but of visually theming it somehow, and even if it's going to be really hard, maybe, writing in Sharpie on the duct tape T5 all over it. I don't know, but something memorable, I would take a picture and Instagram that for sure.
You could like 3D print a T and a 5 shaped container.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, you 3D printer people, you have such
I actually got a buddy of mine to do that for me. It was a challenge cache, painted it blue, typical ammo can, painted it blue, and he 3D printed the question mark that looks like the challenge icon. Yeah. Now it got stolen because it was too good. He did too good of a job on it, but it was cool until it got stolen. So, but everybody that found it was like, "Oh, that's a cool, that's a cool container."
Yeah, the things that you can do now with 3D printers, it's like it just opened the floodgates. You can be super creative.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Just make sure that the cache is good for being outdoors. Be weather prepped for whatever your climate is. If you have any other questions or things that you'd like to mention or share on the show, then as usual, you can email challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with your questions, anything you'd like answered, anything you'd like us to explore, big or small. That's where you can email challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. But I think it's about time we get to our Wheel of Challenges game because we like to give things away.
We do.
So as usual, one live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the Wheel and have a chance to win the grand prize, a 1-year membership on Project GC. To enter, send an email with a subject containing "spin me" followed by your geocaching username in brackets and the answer to the following question. The first verified user gets the wheel, and your profile will be checked live on Project GC. And if you qualify, you will win. So, here is your question. I'll give you a second or two if you've got your app opening. The question is, according to HQ, this is the year of the what? Now, we failed to mention this in the news.
I was just going to say, this is maybe the first time we've asked a question where we did not already talk about it. So have you been paying attention? I know some people...
hint.
Yeah, we gave a hint. We
Yes.
gave a hint. We didn't come right out and say it. There is a souvenir connected to it. Some people earned the souvenir without even trying this past week.
Mm-hmm. And this also works not just for what you would think it would, but it also works for other stuff.
Exactly.
Completely away. But the answers are rolling in very, very quickly. And the first that we have here is Gary Bechtold of the GBs
All right.
has sent in Hide. It is the year of the Hide.
The year of the hide. And so that new
And yes.
souvenir between now and the end of the year, as long as you hide a cache or an event, you will earn a hider's souvenir.
Yeah. People discovered the event thing when the event went live and they earned the souvenir.
Right. Some people earned it like while that was coming out in announcements. And so they had that souvenir very promptly because they already had a cache in the queue. And it got published.
It would be kind of neat if they enhanced that souvenir and said you get a different version for each different type of cache that you hide for the year.
Yes. Oh, I like that idea. I like that. Kind of like challenges, like the step up challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Gary is another one with tons and tons and tons of challenge finds.
That's right.
I forget how many. It's a lot. Gary, tell us in the chat. And so I'm pretty sure he has a really good odds of this. Okay, go ahead.
So this wheel has challenges rated from 1 to 5. So let's get this thing spinning. We're at, it's right on the line. Is that a 3 or a 2.5? I think it's a 3. I think it's a 3-star. It's GC 5FJ 2K, the iconic challenge. And I'm gonna guess he's going to win. He's gonna qualify. So this was a cache placed by Yeg Challenge Cachers in 2014, November. To qualify for this challenge, you'll need to find 9 or more cache types on a single day. And as with pretty much any challenge, past finds all challenge. There's no date restrictions. And note your accomplishments in your log. So this is also known as a busy day challenge. And typically people try to qualify for these on very rare events like mega events and giga events.
Right.
Come and plan out all the rare caches in order to qualify and try to get as many different icons, cache types as possible in a single day. So let's see how Gary fares. I had an X on there. I want to know if I qualify. I thought I did. Am I 8 or 9? I don't know. Anyway, GBs. That is GBs in brackets. Running the checker. And it's a qualification.
Does it say how many he has in one day?
Found 11 different types.
Wow.
Yep, on June 18th. So he's got a letterbox, Cedo, multi, webcam, where I go, unknown or mystery, traditional, earth cache, virtual, mega, and a regular event.
Well done.
Yeah, that was it. Cache in the Bay mega event. Where is that? There are mega events all over the place that we don't often hear about. So, congrats, Gary. We'll be in touch. And you have won 1-year membership to Project GC.
Congrats.
I'm sure I got 9.
Why do I have an X?
I only have 8. Man, okay, so yeah, before all of these, before a few newer cache types were around, that was when I was working on the busy day challenge. That wasn't even a mega day. I'm sure. Man, okay, this is gonna bug me now. I've always passed up on other on days that people have been working on busy icon days because I swear I had more than 8. Well.
Maybe you'll have an opportunity in July.
Hey,
just saying, there's stuff around.
A variety of stuff.
Yeah, quite a bit.
We hadn't mentioned that yet either. Cache Fest in Tennessee and Memphis is coming up.
I've made all my various reservations. I'm ready to go to Memphis. I have a busy day of 12, but maybe I can make that 13. We'll see.
Nowadays, you have community events. You have a bunch of stuff that's going to be there. So
exactly. Have to plan very carefully because I think we're going to be a little busy with our Challenge Academy too. So
yes,
I'm going to have to fit in personal caching with everything that we're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week for some of us. Yes.
Yes. So please join us.
So we also like to give away another little prize for people who make an effort to qualify for challenges each month. We give a congratulatory shout out to listeners who email us proof of qualifying and logging a challenge cache since the last show. Anyone who sends an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with the GC code and optionally, any photo if you'd like to share or a story for that month will be entered for the prize giveaway, which is a Challenge Talk Geocoin. Let's see if I've got one over. I've got one over here. 1 second.
It looks like this icon
Oh yeah, right up
above my
there.
shoulder. There we go.
There we go.
Jeff has the coin.
Challenge Talk
Very cool.
Geocoin. There's only a couple of them left. Probably just in time for Cache Fest. So,
Yes.
If you've qualified, make sure just send in your challenges that you discover or qualify for, because we love to highlight them. And
Yeah, it really inspires us. It inspires people, look at all the different places our audience represent. And if we can all get different ideas and make our areas better, that's better for the whole community. So share them all.
Mm-hmm. So first up, we have one from Just Finding Our Way. It is GC3838ZCR Mat 20 Challenge. It is a 4.5 difficulty, 1 terrain, 2011, pre-moratorium. And it seems like a simple one until you read the details.
Okay.
You have to find 60 caches in 1 year. But they are composed of 3 different types of caches over 20 different hiders.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you have to find 3 different types of caches of 20 different hiders each to make 60 caches, but all within 1 year. and this cache is also an offset, so it's got a little puzzle attached to it as well. You've got to do a little math to figure out where the final cache is.
I want to point out, Jeff, scroll back down. There is a vintage icon on this page.
There
Do you guys see it?
The challenge,
Look at that old challenge icon. The geocaching guy with the cape. Do you guys remember those challenges?
You mean the ones that disappeared off our profile?
Yes.
I seem to remember those, yes.
There is no record of them having ever existed. Geocaching challenges.
But I
and
remember
found a
them
bunch
well.
of those and they disappeared.
Yes. I still remember there was one to find a public sundial. And my mom and I we weren't even looking. We were at Trees of Mystery in California, Northern California. And all of a sudden, as we're walking around, I see a sundial out in public. And I was like, oh my gosh, a public sundial. And what were people thinking? I'm like, ah. So anyways, I remember them well.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're kind of a mix of a few things that we have now. They were basically just a container, but they were like proper challenges. It gets published, and from that point on, it challenges people to do something in order to qualify and claim it. Right. So it's like a real challenge, not just an accomplishment. But being just like a container for anything and being not reviewed and just created by anybody, they got kind of ridiculous.
They did.
And
they did.
There were complaints and suggestions out the wazoo. And eventually they just said, let's just scrap it.
Walk it back.
Gone.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
So we also have one from Bloody Cool. It is GC7FFB8 Challenge. Every hidden month, 7 types of caches.
Okay.
This is a 2017 cache, and it was placed by Cache Lee in Hawaii.
Nice.
That's awesome in itself. And the challenge here
go ahead.
is to find 7 types of caches for every month of the year, January to December.
Okay.
Over any year, but that in itself could be kind of hard depending on where those rare cache types are. But I thought that was a neat one because we had one placed by a reviewer around here called the 99 Tiers, I think it was. 99 Tiers? I think that was the name. And it was basically that. It was this big grid of every month in each column and all the types. And you've got to get basically knock off all of those squares for every month. And it got
Interesting thing about
crazy.
that challenge, not only have I met the hider of that, I've actually found that exact cache also
Mhm.
Oh,
in
awesome.
Hawaii.
That's really cool.
Excellent.
What island is it on?
Wahoo.
Oahu. It's near Honolulu.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Oahu Island, I guess?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's the only one I've been to, so unless they moved it.
I'm Canadian. Hawaii is Hawaii. So that was a fun one to consider, and another challenging cache. Oh yeah, that is a 4.5 difficulty challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Cache Lee actually she likes hiding challenge caches, and she had several that I got to find while I was down there. And she showed up at an event I hosted too, and it looks like the same for Nels.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
We have another one in from Acorn Mama. It is GC5 AWR4 Challenge the Lonely Cache Trinity.
All right. I'm curious what the word Trinity means in this.
So it was published 2014 by TC Plus 12 in Ohio. The challenge for this one, you have to find 3 different lonely caches or caches that have not been found in 1 year or more. The catch is that not only do you have to find 3 different lonely caches, but you must have found 1 traditional, 1 multi, and 1 puzzle.
Oh, I like that.
So 3 different types of lonely caches in order to qualify.
Right.
So it might not be all that difficult, but I wanted to highlight that because this is a common definition of lonely cache. I think probably the most common is hasn't been found in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy way to look at it. It's kind of rare that caches don't get found for more than a year. So this one, you have to find 3 caches not found in over a year of 3 different types.
Specific
but there was another
types.
one.
Yeah.
There was another one sent in by Just Finding Our Way, which looks at another type of lonely challenge or lonely cache. It's GC7 KPD7 180 Days of Loneliness Challenge. And this one is kind of defining loneliness as where's the description? Usually where is it? In order to qualify for this geocache, you must have found 2 caches that haven't been found often. Often means that the caches are only found on average for 180 days. So some people consider lonely caches the average finds per day or average days per find.
So Eric had a good question about this challenge.
Yeah.
How do you find qualifiers for that kind of challenge if you're searching for it?
Yeah, it's because really all it is you're looking for the number of days since publishing and the number of finds. So finds over days gives you the average, or days over finds for lonely would be the better way to look at it, because you're looking for days per find. So I don't think there's an easy way to look for that statistic. You would just have to find old caches that haven't been found very often.
I believe there's a tool for it in Project GC. I haven't used it in a long time, but
yeah. So that's the other type of lonely. It's the how often a cache is found average, and it is allowable because it's basic statistic. So it can be checked. The checkers already exist, so it would be allowable as a challenge post-moratorium.
Isn't this one of those weird ones though? So like, let's say it's only found once every 180 days, and you and 2 or 3 buddies go out there and find it one day. Doesn't that mess up?
Well, because that's a good point. What if it hasn't been found in 6 years, and then 5 people go out and find it within a day? It's not lonely by the 1 year standard, but it could still be lonely by the average standard.
How do you find out if you already qualify? You would just run the checker on it, right?
Right. Yeah. There's the checker on the description. And I think this one could be harder because
this is pre-moratorium though, right? I mean, they wouldn't publish that now.
This is post. This is published in 2018.
So there's some things that slip through because I'm not going to say it live on the air because I know where it is. There's a challenge that slipped through the other day that was clearly not publishable. It wouldn't mind, but I would love to get there and sign it really fast before they figure
Before
out
anything happens.
I was quite shocked about it, but things are going to slip through. Reviewers are people just like everybody else, right? Things are going to slip through even if they're not allowable.
Yeah. Hopefully reviewers will catch some. Well, hopefully depends on
Hopefully
whether
they
you
don't
like the
catch them. I'm
challenge.
just saying, I'll be honest. Not until I sign it anyway.
Yeah. So we had another one sent in by Starcacher, and this is the alphanumeric by GC code challenge, GC5NJ7Y. And this one's another variation on bookmark challenges. This was published in 2015 and by the Grundelows in Michigan. This one is making use of the GC code. There have been challenges that play with the letters of a GC code, but I kind of like this one because it's relatively simple and it's almost could be considered a form of Jasmer challenge because you're dealing with the third character of the GC code.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for all the digits, available digits and letters that are used in GC codes, of which there are 30, which is what this challenge is named for. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and A to Z minus the ones that aren't used. But you're looking for GC codes where that character is the third character. So GC something. So you have to find 30 caches where the third qualifies for any of those 30 characters. The interesting thing is, by the example, there's GCD, GCDE, and GCDEF. All of those caches count for D and only for D.
Right.
But each of those is some distance of publishing apart. So the GCD obviously is very, very, very old, whereas GCDEF 1, 2, 3 could be yesterday. Right. So you could look at it like a look for old caches or not. But it gives a little bit more variety of the way of thinking about
that is a really creative challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rainy day, bookmarking, prepare for geocaching type thing to do. See if you qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a 4 difficulty, I think mainly because, it takes a lot of work to find where those caches are that qualify. I don't know how many, I guess there's a wide enough spread of time for those publishes, for those characters, that there could be each of those within most any region. I don't think any of those numbers or letters would be very rare.
I wouldn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they can be hard to fill in your gaps. You feel like you're endlessly searching for just the right thing. But yeah, I don't think they're that.
If you're unlucky
rare.
enough to not have one that qualifies for one of those, but you've got to travel a day to get to it, then, that's going to suck.
Yeah. Jesse, do you know there's a question in the chat? Is there a way in Project GC to search by username?
I was just looking at that. I don't think you can use any kind of Boolean searches or anything for any of that stuff, right? You have to use the full name in Project GC.
Yeah.
Even on geocaching.com, although I do know that you start typing, sometimes it'll fill things in.
True.
But I don't think you'll fill them all in.
Mm-hmm. The easy way, another way around that would be to make use of another tool like GSAC, where you can
run a query,
download the listings,
and then sort it by hider.
Yep. And if you know SQL, database language, you can write your own queries and sort through all the data. But that's getting into super advanced techie stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea what you said.
I can tell you the roundabout way to do that. If that challenge is in your area, just look at other people that have qualified for it and see how they got it.
Yeah, true.
That's the only way I've ever been able to find out to do those things. I don't know the right way to do it. That was the roundabout way I figured it out.
But that's a really good tip. You might not think of that right away.
And some of the older challenges also require people to create a bookmark list of the qualifying finds. So you can always look in that section on the right of a listing where there's bookmark lists that cache is in, and that might be included in somebody's qualifications. and then you can.
Nell says
use that as
the
reference.
Project GC can search for hider name starts with, includes, and ends with. So there you
Awesome.
go. There is a way to do it on Project GC.
Good.
Good.
That is awesome. I did not know that. I'm done for the day. I learned my one thing. I'm good.
That's the whole point of these podcasts, so we can come away learning something.
That's right.
Okay, so remember, for next month, send in your email with your qualifications, and you might have your suggestions, your recommendations, whatever, highlighted on the show, but you'll be entered in to be randomly drawn for... Randomly drawn for...
I think that takes away you learning something for the day, so now you have to learn something.
Now you unlearned. You
unlearned something.
So the random winner from people who have sent in challenges for this past month is... Where is it? There it is. Nick Cap.
Congratulations, Nick Cap.
We'll be in touch to get your info, to get that sent to you as soon as possible.
Cool.
And just as an outro, as usual, I like to highlight my own challenge that I don't qualify yet myself, and that's GC 3D5EB, which is the Iron Man Bingo Challenge. It is a pre-moratorium, just barely pre-moratorium challenge to find... Well, it's basically themed around consecutive streaks, you could say, where there's a bingo grid, BINGO, with 5 rows, and each of those squares is a different type of streaking based around properties of caches. So, say 3 days of over 10-kilometer hikes for I-2, or 5 days of abandoned structures for O4. And, of course, the central square is 100 consecutive days geocaching. To qualify, you just need to find a row or a column or diagonal, just a standard bingo, but it's hard enough to get some of these actually qualified. I think the hardest, probably for most people legitimately, is 3 days of scuba caches.
Legitimately.
Rare. Yes, that's we say legitimately because there is a power trail in, well, probably not just here, but in Nevada, where they have added the scuba caches to all of the desert power trail geocaches, just to help people filter them in or out and find them.
Yeah.
So,
nobody said you can't wear a scuba gear while you're doing the ET power trail.
So with this challenge, you qualify as a standard bingo, but I also like to highlight people who complete certain shapes, like making a B shape or doing squares or X's. You can make an H. But the big thing is completing the entire card, all 25 squares. And it is possible to do all 25 within the 100 days of the center square. It takes a whole lot of work, a whole lot of planning, but it has been done. And since last month, there hasn't been any activity here since December, but that was people finding the cache so that they can qualify sometime later on. But would love to hear from you if you're working on it. I know there are some
Eric
people
in the
working on
chat says, I'm really starting to work on that. First up,
Sweet.
5 days of Wherigo and Lonely at the same time.
Nice combo.
So I actually hate you for this challenge because I hate streaks. However, I hate not doing challenges.
Right.
And if I were to relocate this summer to a brand new caching area, there's no way I would not be able to start this challenge. There's no way. And I would hate you again every day for it, but I can't walk away from something like this.
Such anger as
that coin.
Yeah, I think after I finish my thing of completing that year grid of challenges, this is going to be my next one to work on. I keep saying I've got to qualify for it myself, and I am going to do it. I'm going to. But the big bonus with this is I've said anybody who locally at least signs and completes a shape or completes the full card will win a coin, which is now in process of being designed. It's coming this year with some nice little special twists, I guess you could say. Some fun stuff to go with it. And so I'm extending that challenge to everybody out there virtually. You don't have to sign the cache, but if you complete the full card, then I will send you one of those special coins as well.
I'm getting one of those coins. That's all there is to it.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah, we have a few comments about relocating. Eric says that's why I'm starting now. Just moved to a new area.
He just moved to Colorado.
Yeah, and Acorn Mama says relocating is the only way I'd be tempted to try streaking again.
Yeah, that's the thing. You move, get working on those challenges in the new area. Moving or vacation. Those are great excuses to work on challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our show. Are there any other thoughts about fully themed challenge caches to get out of the way?
I'm going to have to say that, while you don't have to do it, like we said, if you want to have the caches that are really memorable for people, you put all those elements together. You're never required to do it, but why wouldn't you? If you want to be that kind of quality cache hider, it only makes sense. And again, the theme doesn't have to be up in a tree like Geoff seems to want all of them to be, but it could be just a little tree, right? Even if it's an LPC in a Walmart parking lot. How funny would that be that it's like a little tree, covering whatever your cache container is? It's just that, to me, that would push it over the line to like, there you go, favorite point, bam. Yeah. Just to me, that, not that that's what we cache for, right? We don't hide caches for favorite points, but come on, that would just be good.
I think all of us here are into bettering our caching community, and that's where this is going to lead. Yeah. None of these ideas are going to harm in any way. They will only enhance.
Right.
And that it also adds to it that, if you don't want to qualify for the challenge, but you still find the cache, you still get to find something themed around the challenge.
Yeah.
Like I just found another cache that was literally a tree in a tree.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that could make a great challenge cache final, but then that can also make somebody smile who found that cache without qualifying, and you still get the theme of the trees.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess closing thoughts for me would just be, if you're making a challenge cache, go that extra little step to make it something enjoyable for people who are finding it, whether they qualify or not, and whether you make it based on the same qualification, climb a tree for the tree challenge, or make a tree cache for the tree challenge. In any case, you're going to make somebody happy.
Exactly.
Just a pill bottle under a lamppost.
Yeah, I appreciate the ideas here tonight.
Yep, so the chat log is still available after the show if you want to check out what other people have mentioned. The next show will be the first Sunday of April. That is April 3rd. And as usual, the show notes will be posted to at least the YouTube video record of this after the show in the video description. So all the links and everything are going to be there. Thank you for watching and listening. And remember, it's not about the numbers, it's about the challenge.
Challenge accepted.
See you next month.
Bye.
You're going to have to push that button. Derek's gone.
Yeah.
We don't know how to end our own show.
Where did it go? I think.